Hi, welcome to another episode of I Don't Have the Answers, but let's talk about it anyway. I'm your host, Tim Four, and I want to thank you for joining me. Before I jump into this week's show, I wanted to take a moment and give a shout out to some of our new followers, something that I decided we're going to start doing from now on. And just to say thanks, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen and watch my show. Starting off with Melvin from Cleveland, Ohio. Thank you. Christopher from Citrus, Florida, just around the corner, not too far from me. Clarence from Wilmington, North Carolina. Roy from West Tawakoni, I probably butchered that name, but that's in Texas. James from Rochester, New York. Bernard from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Daniel from Aurora, Colorado, by way of Chihuahua, which I have actually been there before. Beautiful place, I love it, and I hope to be able to go back someday. Anyway, and Dwight from Mount Vernon in New York. Thank you all. I appreciate you following the show, and hope you enjoy this night's episode and take a chance to watch some of the other episodes I put together. Now, this week I want to continue and carry on a little bit more of the discussion that I had last week. In last week's episode, I kind of talked a little bit about what has happened and what direction we're going, and I want to piggyback off that and ask you a question. Where do we go from here? How do we get there? Now, I mentioned last week that there are some people that believe that silence is acceptance. Well, personally, I was silent for a little while, not because I was accepting, but because I was trying to put some words together so that I can make sure that my voice is heard. Now that I have been heard and that I am starting to take my stance, I want to ask you, where do we go next? We've got the protesters that are doing an amazing job getting the message out. But what is the message? Yes, we've said change. We want to get justice. How do we do that? Are we making suggestions to the right people? Are we trying to get the right people into political office? Are we trying to amend some of our laws and make some changes? Changing the minds is a great idea and is a great concept, but there has to be a method. There has to be a way to do it. Personally, I believe that we're heading towards one of two options. One, it's a little scary to think about it, but our country is in what's the beginning stages of what could possibly be a major civil war. Now, you might be thinking, Tim, what are you talking about? Well, there's a divisive line. There is definitive powers on both sides. There are people that have the strong will and the strong mind that are, whether willingly or unwillingly, being supported by people that have short fuses and that are trying to take advantage of situations. And it's that kind of spark that could trigger us to going into something that is more deadly, so to speak. And what I'm saying is that if we're not careful, if we don't take the time to put a message together and think of a way to move forward, then we could find ourselves in a militarized zone. And I don't want to think of that. In the last Civil War the United States participated in, we lost 2% of our population. That might seem like a small number to you, but think about it. That's 2 million people today. 2 million. I wouldn't want to lose that many. I don't want to lose one, and we've already lost more than that. So what can we do? Like I said last episode, less than 50% of minority that are registered to vote showed up at the polls. More than 50% of the minority population in the city of Tampa have showed up to protests in the past week and a half. Let that sink in. The power to change things, I know you might think it's slim, but the power to change things is not just with our voices outside on these protests or with the act of protesting. We also need to step up and vote. If we don't like who's there, find someone else. Be someone else. Be the leadership that we need. If we can take the time to show up every day and every night for the past 10 days to demonstrate and to show what needs to be, to talk about what needs to be done, we can stand to show up, write in a little bubble, put our name where it needs to be and register and show up. I'm not saying that all of our problems are going to be resolved by doing some voting. No, that's not the case. I just think that it goes a long way towards finding a new resolution. Another thing I really think that we need to point out is when you hear or read or see a sign or any kind of message that says Black Lives Matter, don't respond with all lives matter. We understand all lives matter. This picture that's floating around the internet of a little girl holding a sign that says, "We said Black Lives Matter. Never said only Black Lives Matter. We know all lives matter. We just need your help with Black Lives Matter, for Black lives are in danger." Let that sink in. Do you understand? They're not trying to take away the importance of anybody else's lives. They're just trying to get a little highlighter out and highlight the fact that Black lives do truly matter. They're not just disposable people. They have lives and families, and they have built this country that we live in alongside everybody else. They deserve to be treated equally. Now, like I said, that there's a direction that we are heading towards. I want to think that we can come up with some good alternatives, some policies and procedures, to some checks and balances, so that we can come together as a people, because we're being watched all around the world. Other countries are acting and they're doing the same thing because their police are doing the same thing. Black lives need to matter everywhere, all around the world. And they're watching us to see what we do. We fix this, the world gets fixed. This is a cancer that we need to cure. And we're only going to do that by getting the people that need to be together in the same room talking about this. I don't know who that is. I'll be honest. If our government leaders know who it is, raise your hand, please. Because we need to make some changes. And if anybody who's watching this has an idea for a change, let me know. I mean, I've got a couple crazy ideas. My wife admits they're crazy ideas, and they might actually work. But, number one, I'm no poli-sci expert. I'm not a politician. I'm not a lawyer. I have no idea if these ideas would really work, or if these suggestions would work. I mean, they might. And if you really want to know, feel free to ask, and I'll be sure to explain my multi-step process to help fix a couple things that I think need some fixing. But I want to hear from you. I mean, this show was built and designed to answer your questions and what you have. As of yet, this is episode number 24, and I have yet to actually receive anybody asking any questions. I'm pulling these ideas for episodes out of social media, and I think I'm doing pretty good, but I really do want your feedback. Let me know what you think and what you'd like to talk about. Heck, if you want to be a guest on the show, let me know. I have ways to get you on the show. I've had other people on the show before. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Jason. I appreciate you guys for joining. And Jacob and Rich. And my cousin Jim. I have ways to get you on the show. If you've got an idea or a suggestion, please feel free to let me know. Drop me a line. There's many ways you can get a hold of me, and they're all going to be listed in the comment section of this video. But we need to come up with a plan. We need to at least start throwing some stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. I have some beautiful family members that this is affecting directly. I want this fixed. They deserve to have this fixed. I refuse. I say again, I refuse to let them grow up and have to deal with this. It has gone on long enough. I don't want them to have any problems driving anywhere, going anywhere, or having to worry about going through the mental checklist. Hands at 10 and 2. Eyes straight forward. Don't raise your voice. I don't want that. What I want is people to respect one another. And while I'm on the subject of respect, please understand that I am in no way drawing a sign in the land saying that I am anti-police officer. Because on the contrary, one of my best friends is a police officer, and I support him with every ounce of my being. He is a very good cop and has been for a long time. I trust him with my life and with my family's life. There are not all bad cops out there. And if you think there are, come talk to me. We'll settle that stuff quick. Now, I got way out of line and off track. It's been known to happen every once in a while around here. But I want you all to know out there, I'm not going to stop talking about this. I may not have the answers, but I know that the answer is out there somewhere, and somebody's going to talk about it with me. Thank you for joining tonight's show, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you out there that are still trying to get this fixed. And if you're not trying to get this fixed, why not?